Hey everybody, Sam here. We are starting today's episode in the shopping district because, well, I built a shop. And here it is, the Moss shop, which I have named Live Moss. Yes, just like the Taco Bell slogan. And not only that, it's actually stylized after what a 1990s Taco Bell might look like. Here are some reference images if you aren't familiar. You'll see that they looked quite a bit different than they do now. The exteriors were kind of boring, to be honest, but the interiors had all these super fun colors and stripes that I wanted to try to recreate in the game. So we're going to start a tour right here in the front of the restaurant, or shop, rather. You'll see the name up here in the banners along with the bell. And I know some of you might be thinking, oh, why not use the in-game bell block right here? Well, I tried that and it was a little too small for the scale of this build. So we've got this kind of fence post and yellow concrete to act as our bell here. And, don't worry, I did incorporate the bell, but we'll get into that later. So here you'll see that kind of brown, white, orange exterior that was pretty prevalent back then, along with these paintings on the windows kind of acting like window advertisements like you see in the restaurant windows showing like specials or new items being offered. Heading into the restaurant, you'll see here that we've got a lot of fun colors. We got these stripes of concrete and dark prismarine here on the ceiling, along with that kind of iconic purple stripe on the walls. And we have these small sets of tables and chairs over here. It's difficult to replicate the stripes that you saw in the reference image earlier, but I think the combination of the white and pink carpets worked pretty well here, especially since we got, these warped wood seats to help kind of keep it in theme. We also got a small drink dispenser over here as well, along with a couple of glazed terracotta murals on either side, just for an extra pop of color here along the walls. And then over here we have all the moss and moss accessories that we're selling. We got both variations of the moss block and the moss carpet over here, along with some hanging moss here from the Pale Garden. I'm thinking about putting some azalea items in here, like the bushes and the leaves, since I go through a lot of those for the desert build, but we'll get there when we get there. And if you open the payment barrel here, that's right, I got a small observer circuit here that triggers the bell when you open it. It also does it when you close it. There's probably a fix for that, but I can't be bothered with it. Taking a quick look outside the restaurant, I threw these kind of flower beds here on either side. I figured, it needed something out here. We got a couple more windows with ads here and some additional murals. And then around the back here, we have this kind of employees only entrance. And if we pop in here, this will hopefully jump scare anybody who's, not meant to be back here. I don't need an actual employees entrance. I could just restock everything from the front. I thought it was just kind of a fun thing to add. But I had a lot of fun building this little place. Like I said, I thought it was kind of lame because, we have all these big, beautiful builds like, Tiny over here. And we've got the train station and the Diamond Star. And then we have 1990s Taco Bell over here. But, I'm not expecting any sales. I just wanted to build this funny little shop here because, deep down, I really like puns. And we are expanding the shopping district quite a bit, actually. We do have... I don't have my Outtro on. We do have a couple of other shops coming over here. Like we've got this Mob Depot, which kind of works with this weird, maybe this will be like the commercial district over here, because over there is kind of like a beachfront town theme. So maybe over here we could have the kind of weird commercialized shopping district area. I was thinking about building a parking lot somewhere. Maybe I'll talk to the Mob Depot guys and we could have a shared Live Moss and Mob Depot parking lot with a couple of street lamps and parking stalls and all of that. But that is a project for a future Sam. Anyway, let's head back to the base. I have some stuff that I want to show off before getting started today. And here we are back in the desert where between episodes, it might not be obvious what we've done because everything is inside. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel, hello. I have done zero interiors for any of these buildings over here. And finally, that has changed because we have two buildings with interiors. The first one over here, originally, I thought this was going to be a library with multiple librarians, but I was messing around with this and I figured we could have one guy here instead, and he is just obsessed with books. So I have lined all of the walls and ceilings and everything with bookshelves, and he has a few necessary things like, his sink, his prep work, his refrigerator, and his nice little nook over here for sleeping, even though he really can't get out from behind his desk. So it's a fun little interior to build. I really like the red, the brown, along with the acacia wood here. I use the old berries under the carpet trick to kind of keep him in line. He does get a little wild and he does tend to jump on his desk every once in a while, though. And then we have more interior work done here in the tavern. Just, slapped a few paintings on the walls to make it look not so boring over here. And then you'll also see that we've done a little bit of armor stand work with some plates on the tables, typically some type of pairing of meat and vegetable. We got a rabbit stew over here at the bar height kind of counter area. I made this little jukebox over here, so I need to actually test to see if this is still working. There was originally a standing table here, so I went ahead and knocked that out and replaced it with this cute little jukebox. And over here behind the bar counter, you will see that we have kind of a small little kitchen over here with the sink, a cooktop using the smithing table, another little refrigerator, some smokers, and some taps. And over here we have our bartender as well. Kind of the same trick with the, furries under the carpet. He gets a little rowdy over here too, but, he looks like he's enjoying his job. In addition to doing a few interiors, I went ahead and brought, this kind of red sand biome Badlands-ish thing up a little bit further to help kind of blend it into the desert up here. But I think what we want to do today, or what our focus will be, is... I can't tell you how many times that happens. I think what our focus today will be is, continuing this scene over here at the iron furnace. I'm thinking of having a path come down. Where did I put this? Yeah, over here from the iron furnace. We'll probably do some stairs or maybe some armor stand magic to make a quote unquote ramp. And I'm thinking that we have some type of minecart system to run the materials from over here from the iron mine all the way up to the iron forge, and then back down to a dock where we'll have our boat and a few workers down here to ship the iron out to the world. So, obviously, you could tell we have a bunch of terraforming and a bunch of work that we need to do over here. Let's go ahead and get into a time lapse with all of that. I think that will be the best way to do it, and then we will take it from there. All right, let's do it. Hi, Editing Sam here. So I was going back and reviewing the footage and noticed that the redstone that I install has some slight flashing lights. Any scene that starts underground or, these timestamps here at the bottom of the screen, I'm just going to put that small flashing light warning out there. If you're worried about that, go ahead and skip forward. The timestamp should be in the description. If not, just, wait until I start talking again. Okay, now let's get into it. Okay, well, I have to say that this took a little bit longer than I anticipated. Full disclosure, and this is not the first time I have stated this, I'm not good at redstone, but I'm trying. I'm trying and I'm learning, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, right? Anyway, let's take a look and see what we've got here. We'll go ahead and start over here by the furnace, where we have 2 minecart tracks installed. One to bring the raw iron and coal from the mines to the furnace here, and the other one to take the processed iron away. The 2 powered rails here, we got one here, we got another one here covered up by this minecart, are powered by a redstone clock plus pulse extender circuit. Let's go and see if we could take a look at one of those really quick. Here you'll see that we have a clock circuit. This one is called the Copper Hopper Clock, which I found on the Technical Minecraft subreddit. I'll put a link to the post down in the description below, but I went with this variation over the Etho Hopper Clock due to it being quieter overall. The click of the light bulb switching states is much quieter than the pistons from the Etho clock going back and forth. And I'm not 100% on how this works. I just assume that these comparators lock the hoppers once they're empty. And then the switching of, the hoppers emptying / filling up, kind of triggers the copper bulb to turn off and on, which then turns this redstone torch over here on and off. And I did notice that the output pulse of the clock here is pretty quick. So you see it goes on, off, just like that. So I went ahead and put in this pulse extender here. So instead of, on, off, quick like that, it's on, off. And we needed this longer on pulse to trigger this powered rail here for the minecarts that are moving around the base. Each of these minecart setups have a block for the minecart to run into, like this one here, and then this iron block over here. I learned that if you just place a minecart on a powered rail, it won't run. So it needs momentum, and apparently it being jammed up against another block provides that momentum. Like that, which is fine in this instance because we can use these as decorative blocks. And here you'll see we'll have our raw iron and coal here ready to be processed over at the furnace. And over here we have the final product of the iron block and the ingots ready to be moved from here down to the dock area down below to be loaded on a boat. Again, I am ashamed with how long these clock circuits took me to build. I thought about changing the title of this series from Survive to Struggle, after I was done installing all of these. So anyways, we'll make our way towards the mines and where the dock area will be. You'll see just ahead that I ran the copper clock line to where this wool is. I'm going to wait to install the minecart path and complete this until after the dock and the boat have been built. It just kind of feels like the smart thing to do. Making our way to the entrance of the mines, not much to write home about at the moment. I just went through and did a little more terraforming to clean up the place. And you'll see here that we've got a few blocks of iron ore and coal ore here. That's what that's called, right? Yes. Okay, great. We'll be manually installing a bunch of these blocks around the cave over here later on, kind of setting up a scene with people mining the coal and the iron to be processed above. And of course, back up here by the furnace, we'd be remiss not to mention this big old stripy tent and tree that have been built here. I built this tent to act as kind of a nice little area for the workers here to take a break, grab some water and get out of the sun a little bit. I went ahead and placed these banners around the outside of the tent because I wanted it to feel both like its own little space without it feeling, too enclosed. Like you're able to still get some breeze and some fresh air while you're inside the tent. And inside the tent, you'll see that we've got some small benches and chairs set up, along with a couple of barrels full of water and some cups to drink from. Nothing too crazy in here, which, it's kind of the point. It's essentially just a break room. But I am very happy with how things are looking here. It's weird that these banners aren't, rendering in until we get a little bit closer. But yeah, things are looking really cool over here. It's looking a lot more lively than it was. And, we're just getting started. We do have the boat, the dock over here, and the entire kind of cave down below in the mines that we're going to be doing more work on. But like I said, this is taking much longer than I wanted to. So, I think now is a good time to start on our build break. For today's build break, 80% of it is me being a menace to other people. We collect another head for the ironworkers, we get harassed by a retail employee, and discover some fun trident mechanics. Let's go ahead and get started. In my quest to get heads for the armor stands around the desert, Dalton and I decided to duel at his base in the old growth taiga. Oh, dog is counting us down. 2, 1. All right. Ooh. Nice.
The netherite might help a little bit, but I'm not gonna claim I'm any good.
7. It's one more point of attack damage. Oh, you do have sweeping edge on yours. Oh, I do like Dr. Stabby. I don't.
Dr. Stabby's a good man.
Dr. Stabby's a good man. Whoa, 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 whoa! Oh no! I'm back. I forgot to set my spawn. One more round?
Fortunately.
Okay, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, your shield.
I have push to talk on. I need to move where it's set at because I can't talk and fight.
Oh. Do it again?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay. Here, ready? Okay, 3.
1,
Oh.
2, 3.
Whoa!
Even when I hit first, I can't win.
Well, I think CB has a like a dedicated PvP arena with like equipment and everything. So if
wow, yeah, so everyone comes in with like equal grounds equipment and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to settle it there later, we certainly can.
I'm definitely down to do that, but I probably can't today. I got to get off for too much later.
Yeah, same. But yeah, I'm challenging you now.
How dare you? Yes, we will settle it in the PvP arena.
How do you craft a glove? Because if I could, I would slap you in the face and throw it down on the ground.
Gasp.
Thank you. I am going to put you to work over in the Oasis with your head. So, yeah.
That's fine. I may or may not commit crimes with this mask. Don't worry.
I was checking out the new mob shop at spawn named Mob Depot when I was suddenly attacked by a zombie in gold armor. I then asked them, since they are Mob Depot, if they wanted this zombie for anything. They mentioned bringing a name tag by, and I told them to name it Dinnerbone. Hello, sir. I'd like to file a complaint. Me from that position. Dalton paid me some diamonds for my trouble, which was very kind of him. I told him that I liked how the place was coming along, and I really enjoyed how soulless the halogen lighting looked on the ceiling. That was probably one of the weirdest compliments I've ever said to somebody in my life, but here we are. And on my way back, I saw that Randy was building a bridge and decided to mess with him a little bit. Karma hit immediately when I threw my trident through the nether portal. Oh no, it's my trident. No. Oh, it's a my goodness. Today I learned that if you throw your trident through another portal, it will go into the nether. Oh, I thought I lost my fancy dinner fork. I was just trying to scare Randy. Good looking bridge. I have no idea. Hi. This is looking good. Ooh, I like this. It's really nice with the walls here too. I like this bridge. It's a neat bridge. Okay, that was fun, but back to work. So, as you can see here, right in front of us, I have went ahead and built out this kind of scaffolding template, if you will. This is where we're going to be placing our dock along with a boat here on the side to haul the finished iron products up onto the boat and out into the world. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on this. Why can't, oh, I'm not a big vehicle person. I've never really done vehicles in Minecraft, but I am excited to see where this goes. So I don't want to hit the mouse button. So yeah, let's jump into another time lapse and we will do our lessons learned for this week. This week's lesson learned was actually learned a couple of weeks ago. The STS and I went to an event where somebody was giving a presentation about bees and why they swarm. I've always been fascinated with bees, but I don't know a lot about them and thought it would be fun to learn about them on a random Tuesday night. The presenter was so excited about bees that it was contagious. And it got my dumb little brain thinking, what can I take away from this other than bees are really important to the ecosystem at large and we should all plant more flowers to help them. I took away both an idea for the desert base here and it spawned a future mega base idea that will be both interesting and challenging to tackle. Anyway, the lesson learned here is to try to find opportunities to learn something you're interested in but aren't necessarily an expert on. It will make the learning much more interesting and fun. See if there are any events similar to this in your area where people might do these types of presentations, whether they be, in person or online. You might find something at a nearby community college or university, through your city's website, maybe a large event center, or wherever people tend to gather. You might get a fun idea for a build or an entire base, and at minimum, you'll likely walk away with some extra trivia knowledge, which is always cool. Can I just mention how much I like these dumb little minecarts? They're so simple, but I really like the movement that they add to the area. But we are not here to enjoy the minecarts. We are here to check on this boat and this dock we just built. As you can see here, we use the iron blocks and the beehives, which are kind of acting like crates, for the iron ingots to both add decoration and provide the blocker / momentum mechanic to allow the minecart to start and stop on this powered rail. The iron is then hauled onto the docks here to await being loaded onto the boat. As for the docks, you'll see here we have some spruce planks along with some spruce logs at either end, but the fun part for these is kind of underneath. I use these grindstones here to simulate flotation devices to allow the dock to, well, float under the heavy load of the iron being placed on the surface. Moving on to the boat exterior, I'm really happy with how this little thing turned out. It was difficult to get the shape of the hull down here, but once I did, this was really fun to build. So as you can see, I'm kind of back here on my mangrove kick. Can I get on the dock here, please? Thank you. As you can see, I am back on my mangrove wood kick here with the use of the stripped wood along the surface, along with these trapdoors here, which kind of looked like life rings installed on the side. And if we move back here to the aft of the boat, yes, I had to look up the direction names because I always forget. You'll see here that we have this big propeller. So obviously I have been a fan of some of the popular Minecraft YouTube content that's been out there lately. So this idea came about pretty easy. I am, really happy with how this little propeller adds to this build though. Looking up to the deck, you'll see this crane here. Initially, I wanted to have a ramp from the dock all the way up to the ship, but I realized that the back was missing, something. So I went ahead and added this crane. Plus, it makes more sense to have the iron being hauled up by crane versus trying to haul it onto the boat manually. This stuff is kind of heavy. Please leave. I'm trying to do a showing. I'm still not 100% on the use of the flint and steel as the hook on the crane. It looks good from the side, but dead on, it looks a little flat. Let me know if you have any ideas of what to use instead. And here on the dock itself, you will see we have this kind of enclosed area with the ship's wheel. I really like the ship's wheel that was on the Diamond Star in the shopping district that was built by another member of the server named Creative Villages, so I basically just copied her homework on this one. This area could definitely use a little bit more stuff in it. Right now, I currently only have this clock here to act as a gauge, but we'll definitely add more details, which I might do between episodes. Here you'll see that we have a ladder in here, and if we head up here, we have a small observation deck with a telescope. I attempted to make a tripod out of an armor stand, but it turned more into like a quad pod. I don't know. I still like it. I think it's cute. I might build someone up here manning the telescope and keeping an eye on the horizon, or, maybe taking a nap. This place seems like a good place to take a nap. Moving below deck, I've divided this area into 3 sections, and I've started doing some light decorating, me, and interiors. I'll get to them eventually. But this section here I've decided is the crew quarters. The plan is to install some bunks or some cots. I haven't decided what quite yet that I want to do in this area. All I know is that there will be people sleeping in here. The small room over here is the engine room. The propeller needs to be propelled somehow, so I placed some blast furnaces in here to act as the ship's engine. And across the way, we have the captain's quarters. His room is a little fancier and more private than the crew quarters, of course. I threw a couple of paintings in here, along with some carpet and a proper bed. Again, this room can use some sprucing up as well, but we'll get there when we get there. I really want to knock the sand structure down, but that's also where I want to do my outro. I'm really happy with how this little area is progressing with the minecarts. We got the break room tent over here, and of course the boat and the dock we just toured. We still have a lot of work that we need to do over here, and I think next episode we are going to shift our focus to the cave over here. It needs to be caveified, for lack of a better term. We definitely need to do some terraforming in here. We can add some dripstone to the ceiling, some structure, some texturing, etc. And of course, we'll be adding the coal and the iron ore for the workers to mine, along with the workers themselves. So I think that's going to do it for today. I know it seems like we didn't do too much here because, we didn't. Things have been a little chaotic IRL, but I wanted to make sure that I got a video out because 1, it's good to keep a schedule, and 2, I really like doing this. I like adding to the base. I like building pun shops in the shopping district. I like being a menace to other people here on the server and editing videos. And you know, it's a nice break from the grind that life can put on you sometimes. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like what you see, be sure to leave a like, and of course be sure to subscribe if you would like to see more. If you got this far, take care, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, bye!